Hi, my name is Ashley Federoff, and this is my presentation for my final project for LBSC 645. The theme that I chose for this project is Coming to America, Immigration Stories for 6th Grade Students. I chose immigration stories for 6th grade students because I was originally inspired by the immigration simulation project that 6th graders at Indian Creek Middle School, which is where I work, complete at the end of the year. In my reading, I found that many novels about immigrants include common themes that would appeal to all 6th grade students, including bullying, fear of the unknown, changing, and overcoming obstacles. A lot of these stories are also stories about self-identity and coming of age, which also are of high appeal to 6th grade students. These stories would also give many American students chances to learn about foreign cultures and traditions that they wouldn't otherwise have been exposed to. And I also found through my research that students in 6th grade are beginning to look outside their own small family worlds and peer issues to more national and global issues. And with the new presidential cycle beginning, students are much more likely to hear about immigration reform and immigration issues. So these stories will give them a chance to learn more about immigration from the immigrants' point of view, which is also good because the U.S. Department of Education reports that there are more immigrant and first-generation Americans in public schools than ever before. So these stories will definitely give American children chances to identify with these children, and will also give the immigrant children and first-generation Americans chances to see themselves reflected in literature and be humanized through these stories. And finally, I've also found that 6th graders are attracted to real-life problem novels, especially girls, while boys are particularly attracted to nonfiction stories, which is why I chose to include the two following books in my bibliography. The first is Denied, Detained, and Deported by Ann Bossum, and the second is We Are Americans, Voices of the Immigrant Experience by Dorothy and Thomas Hubler. We Are Americans in particular would appeal to 6th grade boys and girls because it contains a lot of charts and pictures and first-person accounts of immigrant stories. I chose to include two graphic novels in my bibliography, including The Arrival by Sean Tan, which is a wordless graphic novel, but nonetheless is very beautiful and tells an intricate story, and American Born Chinese by Jean Luen Yang, which was a Prince Award winner and is three interconnected stories with very simple but vivid imagery. I chose three fiction novels in prose. The first is A Step from Heaven by Ann Na, which is a Prince Award winner. Esperanza Rising by Pam Munoz Ryan, which is a Pura Belpré Award winner. And Shooting Kabul by N.H. Senzai, which was a Youth Literature Award winner from the Asian Pacific American Library Association. The first two have female protagonists, and Shooting Kabul has a male protagonist. Finally, I included a novel in verse, Inside Out and Back Again by Tana Lai, which was a Newbery Honor Book and a National Book Award winner. And I would highly suggest listening to the audiobook of this, the audiobook version of this novel. This novel is about a 10-year-old girl, Kim Ha, and her mother and brothers, and how they have to leave Vietnam and immigrate to America after the fall of Saigon in the Vietnam War. Because this is a novel in verse, it's very easy to read with quick, short chapters, and even though it looks like a full-fledged novel, it's a very quick read. I got through it in about 2 hours, and the audiobook version is very short with just 2 CDs, and it's about 2.5 hours long. The story is very engaging. Ha's voice is very funny. She's got a lot of humor, but her emotions are very strongly felt. She has to deal with bullies when she and her family reach Alabama. She has to learn about unfamiliar foods and an unfamiliar language. She doesn't understand the customs of her family sponsors and children at her school. She has to understand herself both as a Vietnamese child, but also now as an American. And she and her family are dealing with the loss of her father, who was missing in action. And they have to deal with poverty and being immigrants and unwelcome immigrants in a new land. This book gives children and any readers the chance to learn about beautiful Vietnamese traditions, including Tet, which is the Vietnamese New Year, the traditions of Buddhism, and a lot of really delicious foods are described in this book. They were really mouth-watering. I got hungry reading this book. The language that Tana Lai uses is very beautiful. The verse is spare but really vivid, and it captures the emotions of Ha and her family perfectly, which is particularly why I would suggest listening to the audiobook. It's narrated by Duan Lee, and her voice is perfectly melodic and evenly spaced, and it captures Lai's poetry perfectly. So if you're looking for a great book about immigration, I would start with Inside Out and Back Again by Tana Lai, and I would highly recommend listening to the audiobook version. Thanks for listening.